Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I tell you, everybody's been loving all these new Gold Road setups, these builds that I've kind of got this formula for, and I'm so happy about it and everything because people are making these builds, they're having so much success and having a lot of fun doing it. And again, I feel so unique because a lot of people aren't putting these kind of builds together. So like I said, I don't know if it's because people are not thinking of it or they think they might be bad or I don't know. But it's a lot of fun and oh my gosh, a lot of power with them. Having so much fun. So anyway, let's get into the Arcanist version of it. This is one that I promised a couple of weeks ago, but we had to get the Templar done last week first. So now we're finally doing it. We've got the old Bardkinist, the Arcanist here. And it is, because of the way that we're doing it with our skills and our setup here, it's there's no tentacles, you're not focusing on Cruxes, and there's no beam. And don't go anywhere, don't go anywhere. It's like, no beam. I've been told that if you're not beaming, you're not doing damage. Yeah, with the other setups, yeah, you got to be beaming all the time. You got to be, and it's a little bit, and I have the setup, I have it for my Infinite Archive setup, which is really still good, and I'm still going to be using it, where you have this setup of you're doing your setups, and then you're going your tentacle twice, and then your beam, and tentacle twice and beam, and it's pretty much that for the whole build, when you're doing that, and it's very powerful, very simple, but here's another way to go, which again, we're working on our formula, all right, that's going on here, which I'll reiterate, again in a second. But let's see what I'm wearing. I always like to kind of, start off with the gear. Now, here's the great thing about it. The gear that we are using for the other version, if you made the Infinite Archive version, is going to be exactly the same. So, if you like this version of what I'm doing, you can flip back and forth. I actually, on my armor, have one set up for the old style and one set up for this new style coming in. So yeah, you can switch back and forth, so if you need a little bit more beam power, stuff like this, or you want to go with this, which is more kind of the AoE and dot setup, you can switch back and forth really easily in there. So it's got a lot of great options to it. And by the way, and I'm getting slightly distracted here. How do you like this fashion? This is my Bardkinist. Very fancy. It's got the little goatee on. Got the hat. I love it. It has the Truth and Logic staff on him. Let's see. Can I... yeah, you get the Truth and Logic staff that lights up like that. Oh, I like that. Yeah, we always got to take a moment, respect the fashion in there. It's going to get us at least 4 to 5K more DPS, if not more. Just because of the fashion. All right, let me give you the breakdown of what we're looking at. All right, we still have our good old Slimecraw in light, mixing that up with our Oakensoul, with our Bloodthirsty, and our weapon damage enchant on there. You always have that pairing with our builds. That's not going to change. And then we've got we're going with Pillar of Nirn. I liked this. Like I said, this was I'll give you both of them. It's Deadly with Pillar of Nirn. That's the setup. Whatever combination you want to give you that. Because it doesn't matter, if it's on the staffs, it's on the rings, or wherever. Because you've got medium and medium for both of them. So both of them are medium. So you can put them wherever you want. That's actually why I have the Slimecraw in light instead of having it in medium, which is usually what I have, because we've got the other sets are in medium. So it doesn't matter where you put it. So whatever pieces you're able to put together, make it that way. Yeah, it's going to be fine. Everything is going to be in Divines for all the body pieces in there. And if you're not familiar with the Pillar of Nirn Deadly Jack, it's pretty much kind of a standard setup for the Arcanist. Because the Pillar of Nirn is very, very good because if you look at the 5-item set, when it creates a fissure underneath the enemy after a second, dealing some good bleed damage within 2.5 meters, and causing additional 14k bleed damage over 10 seconds. which is going to get, everybody within that circle. So it's just a great one. Has this little volcanic rock, looking thing that comes up in there. You might have seen it before, and it's visually really great, and so you can know when it's going off. Great audio sound too, and so you've got all that. Deadly, basic. We've had this on our other builds. The fifth item thing in there increases your damage with damage over time and channeled. So it's like kind of the perfect thing for us, doing a dot build, or if you go and go back to the beam setup where you've got the channeled, you've got the channel attacks, because that's what the beam is all about. So the only one of the big changes that we're going to have in here, just to give ourselves a little bit extra, is that we're going to do a Pillar of Nirn Inferno staff instead of the lightning staff. So I got the lightning staff over here. The big difference with using this too, and actually, because I was playing with it today, you actually could put the lightning staff on it as well, because the difference is, if you're wondering why is there a debate about it, where do I use the Inferno, where I use the Inferno staff or lightning staff, it really comes down to the destruction. If you go in here in the weapon, destruction staff, and you go over here, and you go into the down here in ancient knowledge, because if you're using an Inferno staff, it increases the damage done with damage over time and status effects. Very, very good, especially for Infinite Archive. But if you go with your lightning staff, it increases your damage done with direct damage and channeled abilities. All right, and we're going to talk about the direct damage. So if you're not sure, direct damage is when you hit something and the damage is right there. If it's a damage over time, that's different. So that's kind of two big ones there. You've got direct damage, you hit them, and then if there's a dot, that's damage over time. And I'll show that with some of our skills within that. So if you want to increase your direct damage, you can go with that lightning staff if you want to go that route. But we're kind of setting a lot of our stuff up to be a good dot build for all of our setups. But like I said, I was playing around with it today, especially with Frostagon, because we're going to be getting an update soon that you don't have to use a frost staff if you don't want to. But that's another thing down the road that we'll talk about. And so that kind of opens us up to an Inferno staff for more dots, or a lightning staff for more direct damage, more boom. So we got the looks of that. All right, we cover everything. It's a pillar in and deadly in divines, our bloodthirsty. Everything's bloodthirsty for our jewelry and everything. And then the weapon is imprecise, and it is the spell damage. It's the weapon damage enchantment on there. So, all right. So we've got that. What is next on our thing? Let's go with our, let's see, food. Going to be exact same thing. I just love the Sugar Skulls or Witchmother's Potent Brew. So that one's really good, all right, because I like getting a little bit of Magicka, a little bit of health, and some recovery. We don't really care about our stamina too much in there. So Witchmother, very cheap to make, really good food on there. The Sugar Skulls I really like because it gives you health, stamina, and Magicka in there, and gives you a little bit of health recovery, which is always a good thing. And so if I find it kind of beneficial going through IA, but I now use it on everything. It's kind of my standard food to use in there. And of course, I use our Tri-Restoration pots within that. Let's see. Everything is going to be going into Magicka. We've got a pretty good set. Our Magicka is almost at 30,000, around 24 for our health. Spell damage without any of our extra buffs or anything going off right now is at 4,500. 53%. I've always been talking about how that if you get over 50%, you're doing great for your spell crit. Of course, we get all our buffs, all of our benefits for having our Oakensoul ring, and I'm still using the Thief. So again, same thing that we had before, in all of our stuff in there. So that gives us all of that. Let's go over to our CP next. CP is going to be exactly the same as we've had on the other ones. We are going to have a greens, whatever you want it to be. But Wrathful strikes again, fighting finesse, weapons expert, and exploiter. We like that exploiter there because we're going to have our skills going to set that off for us, one of our abilities there. And then Bias Vitality, Fortified, Siphoning spells, and Celerity just to move around a little bit quicker in there. Yeah. All right, let's move over to our skills. So here's the one that kind of, that you're probably the most curious about. So what are we doing now with the skills? Well, we are going as basic as you could actually be, because you don't have to do much work to get these, because you get these at the, just by going through doing the scribing quests at the very beginning. And if this is an alt for you, you don't even have to do the full, scribing storyline to get this all set in your book. So since we're not lightning and we're not fire and we're not frost, we're just going with plain old magical explosion. So it's going to be magic damage for us. So you're going to get 14k magic damage with some damage over time and set for off balance. If you're kind of wondering, what is that inside the scribing book under elemental explosion, it's the magical damage. It is the lingering torment, which is always the dots. And then we've got the off balance for the last affix script. Yeah, so that's always the setup. Like I said, the only thing that has changed for us so far is that when I had frost, I put on the frost. When I had shock, I put on the shock. And when I had flame, I put on, the flame one, for fiery gun. So yeah, but since we got none of those, we just put in the magic. All right, so we've got that. Let me get back over here. There we go. So I did the exact same thing with Magical Soul. Magical Soul is now going to give us it's a single target. It's going to give us a nice damage hit, a damage over time, and it's going to give us major breach. All right, reducing their physical and spell resistance by a little over almost 6k. Yeah, so those are the two that we're getting from scribing. You match that with your revealing flare. All right, that's going to give you major protection, reducing the damage by 10%, and your styling. So that's been the formula. That's been the setup that we've talked about. You're going to play this character exactly the same way that you did for Fierygon, Frostagon, and for Shockagon. But now we got to insert a few of our Arcanist ones. So we're looking for an AoE. Well, what's the best AoE that we've got? It's Fulminating Rune. Gosh, I don't even have that up to level 4 yet. And it still does a ton of power. All right, let's go over what this one is. So, summon an explosive rune under the enemy that etches foes nearby with scrawling glyphs, dealing 20k magic damage over 20 seconds. So basically, it's a big hit, but it doesn't give you a hit of damage right off the bat as far as direct damage. All right. I was going to mention about the direct damage. So if you see, like with Magical Explosion, you got direct damage, boom, right up front with that 14k, and then you get the 12k dot damage. Direct damage, dot damage. That's the difference. So anytime you're looking in at like into your which one of these that you want to pick and everything, if you see something like Master at Arms and it says increase your damage done with direct attacks, that's what's going on. All right, so direct attacks, boom. If you're looking for something that gives you a little bit more dot damage or single target damage or AoE damage and stuff, you're going to pick something else. Or if you want something in here where like weapons expert, where you want more damage done with your light and heavy attacks, you would go with something like that. All right, so that's why I chose the ones that I chose. So we're doing things that gives us more to spell damage, gives us more chances to crit, gives us stuff with our light and heavy attacks, so that those actually become a viable option for us, when we're damaging, so that when we've got all our dots down, we can just start wailing away on them. And then exploiter, because we're going to have that off balance from our other skill. So that's what's going on with these. All right. So yeah, direct damage, dot damage, and off-balance setup. Direct damage, dot damage, single target for both of these, and major breach to reduce their resistances. Back into Fulminating Rune, all right? So now we've got this thing that's going to be dot damage, no direct damage. But what happens is that after that, as that's going on for 20 seconds, it's lasted a while, the rune lingers on the initial target for 6 seconds before detonating, doing frost damage to enemies within 7 meters. The rune detonation cannot be primed by Fulminating Rune again for another 6 seconds. Excuse me. Up to 3 allies near the initial target can activate the Rune Break synergy, dealing frost damage, 10k frost damage. It's probably going to go up more when I go up to Fulminating Rune 4, within 7 meters. So it's a really great one. It's got a great graphic to it, too. When you put it down over here, all right, it's got that great explosion. Oh, look at that. There's the, you saw the little volcano thing go. That's Pillar of Nirn. Oh, and then it, went off again. So what you just saw really quick was the start of the... Oh, look at that. And it procced another one of our Pillar of Nirn. It's just crazy. Just doing that one skill is giving us a lot of damage. I love it. I love it. I love it. Love it. So with that one skill, we're doing an AoE damage, but over a dot. It's not a direct damage, so it's a good one to set something up and get it going. And then it procs Pillar of Nirn. All right, it procced it a couple of times there. And it also has its own explosion after 6 seconds. So here, I'll show it again. Boom. So the dot's going. Okay, there's Pillar of Nirn went off. And 6 seconds. Boom, there's that other one, the frost damage just hit. Yeah. So there's a lot to it. So it's a really good dot. And like I said, we've got our, since we're using an Inferno staff, we're adding to that dot damage. So, yeah. All right. So, back in the position. Boom. Yeah, so really a great skill for us. Like I said, it's one of those that we need to pick because we want a good, strong AoE for our build. And then we get the Evolving Rune Men. It is the best heal that the Arcanist has on it. Create some runes, propel yourself, blah, 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 blah. The runes heal for 4k health 3 times. An additional almost 5k health over 6 seconds, and generates a Crux. Wait a second. You said that you didn't... You're not using any Cruxes. Well, you're kind of using the Cruxes in a passive way. All right? Which is kind of cool, because look what it gives us for the Cruxes. Each active Crux reduces the cost of the ability by 3%. We've got plenty of resources. We don't really need it, but it is kind of nice and comfy that as you're going around... I don't know if I have to be in combat for it to... Do I get the Crux right away? No, I think I have to have, that it's actually healing me. If I'm doing damage. Do I have to be in combat for it to do it? I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, there it goes. All right, and there's my third and everything, and this is going to cost me practically nothing to cast. Yeah. Yeah, really great. And those stay on there. So you're in the heat of battle, and you're just doing your... you're just healing yourself, and it's costing you nothing. Yeah, really fantastic. So for visually, if you like the runes going around you, which I do, I like those, stuff like that. You're not going to get rid of them. You're just going to stay on there until what was it? It's got 13 more seconds on there and stuff. But yeah, and resets as we do stuff. So yeah, really cool. I really like that. So. Boom. All right. So we got a good heal. So good heal, good that, and then gosh, I don't even have this on. I must have been using the other morphs of my other setup in there. We're using the Tide King's Gaze. Basically, this is the ulti that moves. All right, so you get this nice big ulti that's going to do magic damage over time. And it's going to move if or it goes to a new target if the other one gets destroyed. So really easy. Great visualization. Really like it. And like if that guy could move, you know, the stuff would move. Yeah. There we go. All right, what am I missing here? That, I think, gosh, is pretty much it. Let me go over my list. You know me, I always got to have a list or I'll forget about stuff. So we went over the gear options. We got all our gear set up with this. The CP options, attributes is Magicka, Mundas is a thief. Food is going to be our sugar skulls, our tripods for our pots. All the skills. Take all of the passives and everything that, you know, gets affected by it. So take all the passives. You know, there's a passive in at the very end of the tank one. When you consume a Crux, game 4 ultimate. Actually, since we're not really consuming Crux, we don't really need that one. Let's see. We've got the heal, so everything in the heal. Everything in the destruction weapons. Into our armor, which we do have light and medium. Get those all filled out. And then all of your other passives. Your support stuff over here for Revealing Flame. Yeah, so you get all those passes, everything that kind of works out, you know, and coordinates with the skills that we've got. Yeah. Was there another thing that I was going to talk about with it? You know what? There was, and I was talking in the middle of it. What was it? Was it something? Oh, I was going to show you. Oh, yeah, just as a final thing to show you how I've got the setup on the old one. So this little house armory, hopefully you know how to use these things in here. I had the Bardic Scribe is what I call this setup. So it's got all the setup that we've talked about with all of the gear and everything. And then the old one, the 1-bar dad build setup in here, I've got that set up as well, where you had the scholarship, where you had the wall of elements, the tentacles, and the beam, and that. So what I suggest is to have, you know, kind of like what I've got here. All right, we've got the 1-bar dad build, which is the old setup. We've got actually a PvP build in here that we've got an old video for. Maybe I'll link that below as well. And then the new one, the new setup with the Bardic Scribe that has everything else that we need. So yeah. So that's the new setup, everybody. And it really hits really hard because of, you know, the Arcanist is set up to be very strong still. And it seems like it's getting stronger because they're still not nerfing it. You know, anytime you get like a new class, usually they'll make it strong for a while and then you know nerf it back a little bit, you know, to try to bring it in line with the other ones and stuff like that. But it's very strong still, and you know, gosh, that works in our favor. We really like that because it allows for us to have, you know, through its stats, through its passives, through everything, it allows us to make a build like this. And so I'm really happy with this. So again, this is a wonderful option. It is a mob killer. Absolutely great. Still does great, you know, soloing. You can take on, I've taken it to like, you know, my litmus test is the Guar out in the eastern Deshaun out there, and in Rivenspire, the Gargoyle there with the ads in there. I make sure to test it through that. I've taken it through trials. The new Lucid Citadel ones, we took it through the other day, and which is fantastic. So it can hang. It absolutely can hang. So if you're looking for something different, because you know, it is something kind of different, you know. But hey, if you want to go with the old tried and true, what people are doing with the beaming, that's absolutely wonderful. And like I said, I would make it as a secondary part to your armory in there by having, you know, the old one that we've got and this new one. And it's just about your play style. And right now, I've been loving this play style of having our, you know, magic, you know, our explosion, having our soul, having, you know, a AoE and heal within the class that we're using, and the ulti. It's just so much fun. You know, to have something that's the same play style and apply that formula to each one of our classes is absolutely amazing. So Anyway, like I said, I could go all day in these videos because I love talking to you. And thank you all for the comments and thank you all for the support. This has really been fantastic with all the Gold Road videos that we've been putting out. So we're doing fantastic here. And I hope you give the Arcanist a try. Because again, it doesn't take any gear change at all. It's just messing around with some of the skills and stuff. And it's kind of just a different approach. So if you're going to go somewhere where you know there's going to be a lot of mobs, and stuff, break this version of this out, and go to town and have a lot of fun. Yeah. So, all right, everybody, enjoy, be safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.